Hello there, movie lovers. It's your favorite movies hunter back with another film that will make you question the meaning of love. Today we are diving into the classic Cruel Intentions from 1999, a film that will make you want to lock yourself in a room and swear off relationships forever. Sebastian is feeling down in the dumps and decides to seek help from a therapist. Little does he know, he is about to add another notch to his bedpost. As he flirts his way through therapy, he thinks he's made a love connection. But as soon as he leaves, the therapist gets a distressing call from her daughter about some naked pictures that were leaked online by none other than our main man, Sebastian. The therapist runs to her window and lets out a string of curses. But Sebastian just flashes a sly grin as he walks away with another conquest. When he gets home, he is met by Miss Caldwell and her daughter, Cersei. Miss Caldwell has big dreams for her daughter and wants Catherine to help make her popular. But as soon as she gets a whiff of Sebastian's reputation, she and Cersei hightail it out of there. Catherine, not one to be defeated, proposes a bet to Sebastian. She knows he has been trying to win over Annette, the daughter of the new headmaster, so she bets that if he succeeds in impressing Annette, she'll give in to his advances, but if he fails, he'll have to part with his favorite car. Eager to finally win over Catherine, Sebastian accepts the challenge. Oh, and did I mention that Sebastian and Catherine are like siblings? Not really blood related, but their parents are married, so, you know. So Sebastian rushes over to his aunt's place like a lovesick puppy to finally lay eyes on the object of his affections, Annette. Little does he know, his bad boy reputation precedes him and Annette is not falling for his smooth talking ways. Meanwhile, Catherine makes her way to a music lesson where she witnesses the budding romance between Cersei and Ronald. Sebastian enlists the help of his BFF Blaine to figure out who spilled the tea about his reputation to Annette. They suspect the snitch is none other than their classmate Greg. So what do? Invite him over for a little chat, of course, because that's how you do it. On the other side of town, Catherine is taking Cersei under her wing and teaching her the ways of love. First lesson is how to kiss, and who better to practice on than your gal pal Catherine. Speaking of Ronald, Cersei reveals that she has been receiving love letters from him but has yet to reply. Catherine, being the curious cat that she is, meowk, asks for a sneak peek at the letters. Back with Sebastian, he tries to win over Annette with a gift and a swim in the pool. But despite his best efforts and his desperate attempts, Annette is still not biting. Keep trying, or better yet, leave the innocent girl alone, Sebastian. However, Sebastian, the master of blackmail, then waltzes over to Greg, who is cuddled up in bed with his partner. With a sly grin, Sebastian snaps a picture of the lovebirds, knowing full well that he's got some leverage over Greg. He demands to know who spilled the beans about his bad reputation to Annette. But when Greg professes ignorance, Sebastian leaves him with a little homework assignment. The next day, Greg works his magic and gets the scoop from Annette. He calls Sebastian with the news that that it was none other than Cersei's mother who ratted him out. Sebastian rushes over to Catherine and shares the info, sparkling a brilliant plan. They'll spill the beans about Ronald and Cersei's secret love affair, leaving Cersei's mother with no choice but to turn to the dynamic duo for help. Sebastian continues to woo Annette, and the two grow closer by the day. Meanwhile, Catherine puts their plan into action, revealing to Cersei's mother about Ronald's love letters. In no time, Cersei's mother uncovers Ronald's secret, and he is quickly shown the door. But as Ronald's packing up his desk, Sebastian and Catherine drop a bombshell, telling him that Cersei has feelings for him too, and they'll help the two lovebirds find their happily ever after. Sebastian then calls Cersei and invites her over to their place to deliver the love letters from Ronald herself. After Cersei makes her grand entrance, Sebastian whips out the letters like a magician performing a card trick. As Cersei reads through the love-drenched pages, Sebastian snaps away with his camera like a paparazzi on the prowl. Suddenly, Sebastian pops the big question. Will you please subscribe to Movies Hunter? Just kidding, but he was like, can you take your clothes off for me? But anyway, poor Cersei is not having any of it and decides to hightail it back home. But Sebastian, being the persistent guy he is, blocks her escape and plants a juicy smooch on her lips. The next day, Sebastian and Annette head up the local retirement home, but it's clear that Sebastian is not a fan of bingo and jello. But Annette, being the life of the party, pulls silly faces and has Sebastian in stitches. Just as they are starting to get cozy, Cersei gives Catherine a ring and spills the tea on the previous night's event. Catherine, being the ever-helpful friend, suggests that Cersei should consider Sebastian as a teacher and take lessons in love to win Ronald's heart. And before you know it, Cersei is back in the arms of Sebastian. But Sebastian has his eyes set elsewhere and he can't resist planting a kiss on Annette. But just as things are starting to heat up with Annette, she pushes Sebastian away, leaving him feeling rejected and frustrated. But before he can say his final goodbye, Annette pulls him back in for a steamy kiss. Sebastian finally had the upper hand, ready to seal the deal with Annette and win the bet. But as soon as things started heating up, he suddenly got cold feet and made a hasty exit. Annette was left feeling frustrated and confused, but the next day she was gone without a word. When Sebastian found out Annette had skipped town, he raced to the train station to profess his love. And after a passionate kiss, he finally got what he had been after. But it wasn't enough, as the next day, he was faced with a tempting offer from Catherine, who was ready to get down and dirty with Ronald. Sebastian thought he could handle it, but as soon as Catherine started to make good on her end of the bargain, he backed out. Catherine was livid and planted a kiss on him, but Sebastian's heart was already spoken for. He was in love with Annette. He decided to come clean with her, but instead of winning her heart, Annette kicked him to the curb. Heartbroken and defeated, Sebastian poured his soul out to Catherine, revealing that Ronald and Cersei were back together. But Catherine could only laugh at his misery as he still pined for Annette, who was now ignoring him. Sebastian, being the hopeless romantic that he is, decides to give Annette his diary as a peace offering. Little does he know that decision would cost him his life. Meanwhile, Catherine decides to play hero and rat out Sebastian to Ronald. But instead of being grateful, Ronald flips his lid and starts swinging. In the heat of the moment, Annette tries to keep everyone calm, but ends up getting pushed into the path of an oncoming car. Enter Sebastian, the knight in shining armor, who sacrifices himself to save the damsel in distress. The entire school mourns the loss of their fallen hero, until Catherine tries to give a speech to honor him. But being the hot mess that she is, she pops some pills and ends up making it all about herself. Annette, being the voice of reason, has a heart-to-heart with Catherine before making her exit in Sebastian's car with his diary. And just as the speech ends, all the students rush out, leaving Catherine alone with her guilt and a copy of Sebastian's journal. The headmaster finds drugs in Catherine's necklace, and she is filled with disgust as she realizes the impact of her actions. And just like that, the story comes full circle as Annette drives away, leaving Catherine to face the consequences of her actions. And so this was the story of Cruel Intentions. Subscribe so I'll see you in the next hunt.